Just rewind with that odd kid. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to Vicious Rants, and of course I'm your host, your YouTube messiah and often imitated, never duplicated superstar Tim Vicious. And folks, this is probably the most important show of the year right here. We are talking about Wrestlemania. I have said this before. Wrestle Kingdom is the Wrestlemania of wrestling, whereas WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of wrestling. And if you understand that reference, then God bless you. Now, first and foremost, this was one hell of a weekend for just about everyone. I don't think anyone really got, I think every wrestling fan under the sun got like a whopping total of like 6 to maybe 7 hours of sleep from watching all the damn shows and the specials and everything. Now, between TakeOver on Friday, the Hall of Fame on Saturday, and then Mania on Sunday, holy fuck, man. Now, that said, WrestleMania started off. The kickoff matches were the first kickoff match of the night. It was Kalisto versus Ryder for the U.S. title. And man, walking into this match, first thing I was thinking was, for the love of God, please let Kalisto walk out of this with the title. Please do not let this fuckknuckle walk out of here with it. That freaking trolling POS bastard, the man don't deserve it. Straight up. If anything, what he deserves is to be put on the ass end of an ass kicking. And I'm not talking like one in the ring, I'm talking a legit one. Not just for the shit that I seen him personally do, but for the shit that he has done to others. That I have not even, that I was not a victim of, but people that I know were. Now, with that said, forward with the match. Ryder, he was good. He was really physical. He opened up very physical. Kalisto, he threw out a bunch of reversals on him whenever he could. He was hitting hard, hitting fast. Absolutely loved it. It was literally seeing like the David and Goliath type match, and the size difference was something, because old Skippy, same height as me, he's 6'2", going against Kalisto, and dude, it was like seeing it would be like seeing a full-grown man standing toe-to-toe next to a freaking 10-year-old. It was like looking at that just like, oh, wow. But Kalisto, man, I give it to him all in the world. He held his own, and he did great doing it. Absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that this was the kickoff match and the house wasn't even full yet and they were getting mad chants. What the hell was that telling you? Match wound up coming to an end. Kalisto, he wound up hitting the SDS and got the win. So, your winner and still United States Champion Kalisto. Now, the next matchup is still the kickoff show here, kids. It was the 10-woman tag match, which, thank God this was on the pre-show, because if there was ever an ST Diva match, this was it. And I'm classifying it now. There is now, until otherwise duly noted, there will be a difference between the women matches. There will be an ST Diva match, and if it is that, the ST Diva matches are absolutely bad. If they are good, then they're women matches. And yeah, this had a very sloppy tie-up right off the bat. It was just, it was just, it didn't feel right, you know? I mean, everyone popped, obviously, the second they saw Lana in her ring gear. Everyone was just like, whoa. Oh. And the old infamous thing, like from Archer with Krieger, up, stop! My penis can only get so erect. That was pretty much everyone's reaction from seeing that. No lie. But yeah, when Lana got the tag in, I was looking to see on how she was because, she's been manager and now she's transitioning from valet to competitor, and that's always a hard thing to do, transitioning from manager to competitor. Cause, it's, gotta give it, she worked pretty decently, I mean, she threw out those kicks. She wasn't in there very long. She only threw in a few kicks, but for how long she was in there, it looked like she was hitting them pretty stiff, and that was pretty nice, Of course, when Eva's Got Herpes came in, that was just like a giant natural disaster, so yeah. I mean, the business on it picked up for the match right after they did their little, 10-second ad break for freaking Mountain Dew, but it's, probably the biggest spot in this match was the fact that there was a Tower of Doom set up and it got countered and it was prevented, but match wound up coming to an end. Brie wound up doing the yes lock on Naomi, and then everyone was just went over to her, yay, gave her hugs, congratulations, and then Nikki came down, neck brace and gear and all, they congratulate her, in which case I'm just thinking, what the flying frig, what the fucking hell is she doing coming out in her ring gear with a neck brace on? Alright, and it's not even like one of those Joel Gardner kind of neck braces, no, it's an immobilizer one that keeps you still like that. So what the fuck is she coming out with her in-ring gear on for? Huh? Yep. So, yeah, last of the kickoff show matches here now. It was the yeah. The Usos versus the Dudleys, and Dudleys, they were coming off real good, real aggressive and strong. It was almost not like on how they were in the day in WWE or even ECW. It was more like on how they were when they were Team 3D in TNA. They're coming off a lot like it's almost like they're coming off in that kind of a sense, They're coming off real aggressive, real sharp, and it's good to see that. And excuse me. And it's definitely need that because, they've said before they wanted to come back to WWE to help get the next generation ready for the tag teams. Otherwise, because tag teaming is becoming a dying art. Said this a million times before. You can't just put guy A and guy B together and say, boom, you're a tag team. The guys got to have chemistry and know on how to work with each other and be able to roll with each other fluidly. The Dudleys, they are that standard for this generation. I grew up seeing the Road Warriors. So I grew up seeing that. I grew up watching them also, but you'll never convince me otherwise. The Road Warriors are the best tag team that was ever put on this planet. But yeah, the Dudleys, they set the standard for on how modern day tag teams need to work. With that said, this was a good match. Dudleys, they were coming off good and strong. Usos, they wound up getting the advantage eventually. In the end, they wound up winning, doing a super kick to Devon. And that's where I'm confused. Just a super kick. I mean, listen, the Usos, they're pretty much nothing but spots. you could describe on how Usos' moveset goes relatively simple. Super kick, Samoan drop, suicide dive, superfly splash, stink face. That's their moveset. They are the team that literally does the 5 moves of doom, not Cena. You know, but yeah. That being said, now to the main show. Which, by the way, folks, useless information. Add up the kickoff show with the actual main show. Total came out to about a total of 7 hours on a pay-per-view. So yeah. Now, first matchup of the night, it was Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Sami Zayn, Stardust, Sin Cara, and Zack Ryder versus Kevin Owens in a 7-man ladder match for the Intercontinental title. And holy shit, was this nuts. This was good right here. This was really good. It was Owens and Zayn, they started brawling literally right off bat. Everyone went outside to go get ladders. Owens, he was just standing in the ring like, go on, go on. And then when they tried to come in, wham, wham, Owens was taking him down, and then Sami got in and just like, wham, and just started going at each other. And man, this is so good because, the history that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have. Their matches, oh my God, they have some of the best feuds, one of the best feuds out there. Wait, Kevin Steen versus El Generico, it was so great. If somebody would have told me 4 years ago that we'd have had, Kevin Steen and El Generico starting off WrestleMania, I'd have called you I'd have said you're a freaking liar. More, just no way that's going to happen. And now, whoa. It was just great seeing that right off the bat. That Stardust, God bless him, Cody, pulled out good tribute to his dad. That's the road. That's the road, you make a dream, that's the road. You want to talk about hard times, daddy. Hard times. Hard times is when you work in the textile industry for 20 years, and then your boss, he hands you a watch, kicks you in the butt and says, hey, a computer just took your job, daddy. That's the road, the American dream. He pulled out a ladder, had the polka dots on it, just like Dusty used to wear. That was awesome seeing that. I popped up for that like, man. Always grew up watching, loving Dusty, seeing his work. And that Zayn there was just so much action going on. Like, probably one of the most surprising spots had to be where there was a ladder literally set up right against the side of the ropes right here, and Zayn got a running start and did an over-the-top rope plancha through the ladder, over the rope, and boom, took everyone down. Through the ladder, like that. But yeah, it was good. Ryder, the big standout in this was more than anything was Zack Ryder. The cat wound up earning his spot in that card, saying, "Hey, I'm here doing this match." So he came out performing, and I mean performing on point. Now match wound up coming to an end. While there was a series of chain finishers where guy wound up hitting one finisher, then another, and then another, and then another. Miz wound up climbing up to the ladder, got up, just sat there, holding up a hand up there like on the title, like, I got this, yeah. And then boom, he got pushed down. Ryder unhooked the title and won. Zack Ryder was the Intercontinental Champion. Emphasis on was because on the Fallout Raw after Mania, he had a match with The Miz for the Intercontinental title, and he lost it. Due to the fact of when they were outside of the ring, Miz wound up talking shit to Zack's dad. Zack's dad shoved him, threw him down, and then Miz's wife, Maurice, climbed over the barricade and then just got in Zack's dad's face, slapped the taste right out of his mouth, distracted Zack, which wound up making Miz get the opportunity. Boom! Hit the skull-crushing finale. So, yeah. What a fucking load of shit that was. Now, next matchup. Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles. You know, now I brought up before on how in the ST Divas match on how they had a sloppy tie-up. This had a very good stiff tie-up. You get a good tie-up right off bat. That can give you a good idea on what you're looking at in a match. And oh my God, was this good. This was good. Yeah, and again, if you'd have told me 4 years ago, we'd have seen Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania, I would have asked, what drugs are you currently on, and why haven't you tried to make some kind of a profit off of them? You know, it just, seriously. And this was just great. You know, it had a good stiff tie-up, and it was a move counter move match. It was just, you know, the second Jericho wound up hitting something, Styles had a counter and hit that. And then for that counter, Jericho hit one, and so on. It was just so great. You know, that Styles, he busted out the Styles Clash again. Jericho kicked out of that. But match wound up coming to an end. Jericho, he got the code breaker, you know, excuse me. Eyes are getting a little fuzzy. Sorry about that. But yeah, it was a code breaker. It was counter. Styles, he went to go to do the springboard phenomenal form. And as he was airborne, Jericho, wham, code breaker. And they got the 1, 2, 3, so that was it. So, yeah. The next matchup, it was the New Day versus League of Nations. And the New Day, they came out. I was a guest on the Sunday Segway podcast this week, and we recorded early Sunday morning before WrestleMania came on. And I said on that show, I was I'm hoping that New Day came out with like a giant inflatable box of Bootios or something. And lo and behold, they came out in a giant box of Bootios. It was a giant cereal box, toppled over, cereal bits came out, and then they came out in, of all things, fucking Dragon Ball Z armor. That entrance was officially over 9,000. And if you watch Dragon Ball Z, you get the reference. It was just freaking awesome, you know. It was, they all came out in the Dragon Ball Z armor, and Woods even had a freaking Saiyan tail. Now, I'm talking nerd right here, so y'all may not know on what I'm talking about. Some of y'all may not know what I'm talking about with this, but holy shit was this awesome. But yeah, that was an incredibly awesome entrance with that one. You know, now this was a good, solid back and forth match, you know, with them, you know, League of Nations. They didn't have any big fancy entrance, you know, they played their music and then they came out. You know, but yeah, this was a good, solid back and forth matchup. It was led to believe up until that day that it was a match for the tag titles. It was not. However, Fallout Raw, it was. I will get into that after this match, but you know, they wound up. This was a good, solid back and forth match. Really liked it. Dug the hell out of it. You know. Rusev just hit a freaking running senton. You know, having a 300-something plus pound Bulgarian just do a running senton right on you. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, that Big E, he did the freaking suicide dive right out of nowhere. You know, taking out a couple of the guys. It was whoa. I mean, it was just action. all around. And it was great to see. You know, now the League of Nations wound up getting the win. You know, Sheamus, he hit the bro kick onto Xavier Woods and then got the 1-2-3. After that, League of Nations was in there had the mic saying that they were the most dominant and strong unit in the company. Nobody could stand up to them. And then next thing you know, boom, Shawn Michaels music hits. And he's in his ring gear. He rips off his shirt. He does the HBK pose. And ladies, you can stop. Okay, I can put my arms down now, ladies, because I know you're starting to get a little hot and bothered seeing the arms like that. Sorry. Shawn Michaels ripped off his shirt, had his ring gear on, did the pose, and then next thing you know, pointed to the entryway, and out comes freaking Mick Foley. Bang, bang! And then, of all people, freaking Steve Austin, Stone Cold came out doing the Stone Cold salute. And then they just walked down and like, let's go kick some bitch's ass. Let's go kick some bitches. They go and proceed to beat the shit out of all of them. And then, afterwards, the New Day wound up getting in the ring with those guys. And Kofi wound up twerking with Shawn Michaels. And Woods tried to get Steve Austin to dance a little. Austin, he moved a little like this. And then proceeded to give him a stunner. So yeah. That next matchup. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose in a no-holds-barred street fight. And this one was one that I personally was anticipating more so, not because of... excuse me. Not so much because of the hype that was built up, more so because of the fact that, you know, if you know Dean Ambrose from before he was in WWE, Jon Moxley in Combat Zone, you're giving him a no-holds-barred match. That's like giving plutonium to Dr. No. So, yeah. This was what, you know, I wanted to see on how this was, and Brock, he threw out suplexes right off bat. You know, they did a count of them at the end of... won't say on who won or lost yet, but at the end, it was a grand total of 13 that was thrown all around to Dean. Now, Dean, he was using everything he could get his hands on to go and throw at Brock, but the psychology in this match, oh my god, it was almost like watching the Brock Lesnar-John Cena fight from SummerSlam again. It was just almost that one-sided because when Dean was getting the upper hand, he got the upper hand. But the second Brock caught his wind and was like, I'm gonna whoop this bitch now. Oh my god, he went into Brock Lesnar mode and just proceeded to go and beat the hell out of him. And Dean, he tossed in a big pile of chairs a la the old ECW chair incident, you know. And Brock, he went to go do an overhead belly to belly. For all intents and purposes, it looked like he was supposed to land on the chairs. But Brock, just being so freaking superhuman-like, picked him up and overheaded him, and he went over the chairs. But yeah, the match wound up coming to an end when Brock wound up doing an F5 onto those pile of said chairs. But man, it was just nuts seeing this. So yeah, you know, now... So Brock won, which I kind of had a feeling Brock would. As much as I was figuring Ambrose was going to win, I was kind of expecting Brock to more, just because of the fact of the idea of where do we go from here? What's after this? You know, because that's always the big thing. Anytime you're starting up a new feud, you always got to ask. You always got to sit there and think, okay, so where are we going to go from here? We're going to have this guy feud against this guy, but what is it we're going to have them do to lead up to their match? And where do we go after that match? You know, now, next matchup. this was probably the show stealer for the night, because it was Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks versus Charlotte, and this was a women's match, and not just a women's match, but folks, say sayonara, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen, all of that trash to that butterfly belt, because that butterfly belt, boom, got dropped in the trash can, and we now have a WWE Women's Championship again. The title looks a little smaller than it's a smaller design than just like the world title, you know, with white leather instead of black. But it's freaking just, some say poor design. I say a thing of beauty, especially considering what its predecessor was. Now, not gonna lie, I was a little upset when Sasha's entrance came out at first, because Vince, I know you're watching this. I know you're watching this with Pat Patterson. We had a deal. You were going to let Ollie Ben come on the show. You were going to have my executive producer, Mr. Oliver Ben, play Sasha out to the ring. And what do you decide to do? Right at the last minute, you go and say, you send me a text, as well as Ollie, and say, maybe next year. And then have her cousin Snoop Dogg go and play her out. Which, okay, I understand. Snoop got put in the Hall of Fame the night before. He's family with Sasha. That's all well and good. But we had a deal. There was a such thing as honor, man. But yeah. Sasha, she came out. Snoop Dogg was playing her down to the ring. She came out in trunks just like Eddie's, paying tribute to Eddie, and God bless, can't think of a single person that wasn't motivated by Eddie at some point or another. Lord knows Eddie played a huge part for me when I was in the ring. I wound up going to heel for the face because of Eddie. I wound up going from being a heel to a face because of Eddie, and it was just amazing because of that. I'll save that story for another day. I don't want to make this about me, and I don't want to take up too much of you cats' time. So we're going to get right back to the match. But this was very fast-paced right off. This was very fast-paced every which way possible. Becky, she was attacking anything and everything nonstop. And Sasha, though, while saying anything and everything, she was going after Charlotte and Sasha, but it seemed more like Sasha was the one that was taking most of the damage, because while Becky was going after Sasha and Charlotte was also, boom, right on Sasha like white on rice. While she would also work on Becky, but it was just more so like, boom, more so on Sasha. But yeah, but this was a very beautiful match, very well done. Absolutely loved it. This was probably one of the greatest women matches I have seen at WrestleMania in a very, very long time. It was just great all around. And this wound up having a series of chain finishers on it, where, Becky went for the disarmer, Sasha went for the bank statement, Charlotte went for the figure eight. Oh my God. This was nuts. This was freaking nuts. But at the end of the night, though, Charlotte won. She did the figure eight. They followed up with Raw. They followed up on Raw with that. Now, actually, before I get into that, I apologize, folks. So caught up in trying to give you the rundown on this show and not take up too much of your time, I completely forgot to give you the follow-up about with the New Day and League of Nations on Raw. They had a match for the tag titles on there. New Day won, and League of Nations kicked Wade Barrett out. And after that, the Wyatts proceeded to come out and beat the crap out of League of Nations. So thank you, we're getting something useful with the Wyatt family again. Now, that said, with the in regards to the triple threat for the women's match, Charlotte, she was given an inaugural ceremony on Raw to be given the title. She was handed that. She got the title, and stroking her ego, saying on how she was the best, genetically superior. Much like she should. Given that she's a heel and that what works for her. All the other girls walked out except for Natty. She went in, proceeded to go talk some smack, and then slapped her, and then they proceeded. And just as Natty got the sharpshooter in, they pulled Rick pulled Charlotte out. So we're gonna wind up seeing another Charlotte versus Natty match down the road. My guess is Extreme Rules. Now, next matchup after this, holy shit. While the women's match may have been a show stealer, this was the one that was the most emotionally draining from WrestleMania. Shane McMahon versus Undertaker. And not just a regular match between them two, in a Hell in a Cell. So you're going against The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which is home court, in the Hell in a Cell, which is a match that's custom tailored for him. That would have been like in the early 90s going against Michael Jordan in a slam dunk contest at the Chicago Bulls Stadium. Yeah. That Taker, he took control real early in the beginning, just took control, showed right off bat with that dominant attitude of, bitch, you are not going to go and try and take this from me. This is my legacy. This is my yard. You ain't getting this from me. And they fought good and hard. And Shane, I give him credit. He pulled out a freaking triangle choke on Undertaker. I never expected somebody to go and do that on him. Eventually, as the match went, Undertaker, I gotta say, few things I got mad at on. Undertaker choke slammed Shane on the steps, kick out. Did Last Ride, kick out. Hell's Gate. Got countered and put into a sharpshooter. Which case, okay, not complaining about the sharpshooter being sloppy, looking a little sloppy even though it was, or the fact that Mike Chioda didn't just go and run to ring the bell to go and do a WrestleMania screw job. More so because of the fact of, dude, really? You got the Hell's Gate. The only way anyone has ever really busted out a Hell's Gate is by rope or by having to go and pull out like freaking Hercules-like strength, pick up Undertaker, and then powerbomb him to make him let go. And yeah, it's just me though with that. But yeah, as the match went, Shane, he got outside the ring, went under the ring, pulled out a set of bolt cutters, popped open the cell, and them two started brawling out there. Shane smashed a toolbox right over Undertaker, and then put him on the table, and then proceeded to climb the cell. Got up to the top of the cell, just looked down, and then jumped and elbow dropped him. Went to go and do an elbow drop. Just as he's climbing, just thinking, oh no. No. Shane, think about this for a minute. Think about this for 1 minute. Your mom is sitting ringside. You had your kids walk you down to the ring. Are you nuts, man? You really want to see your kids watch you liquefy yourself hitting the ground? And Shane, but yeah, Undertaker's on the announce table. Shane's up at the top of the cell. He jumped down, and as he's going, Taker moved out, and then boom! Shane just hit the table point blank. Just thought, oh fuck. He snapped. He snapped in two. And then Shane, somehow by the grace of God, hobbled up onto his knees, just looks at Undertaker. Taker proceeds to drag him literally into the ring. Gets him in the ring. Shane again. He just looks like, no. Picks him up. Tombstone. 1, 2, 3. So now Undertaker is 23-1. So yeah. Next matchup after that. Oh man, I hate to be the match that had to follow up this. But for all intents and purposes, this was probably the best thing to do. Because, like I said, this was the most emotionally draining match. And you needed something to have a break in between this and the main event. Otherwise, the crowd wouldn't have been able to get anywhere and be able to feel anything for the main event. It was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And now, with Battle Royals, obviously too much action to call each person individually. But the surprise entries that were in there were DDP, Diamond Dallas, Baron Corbin, who for all intents and purposes, everyone knows he's got the personality of like a boiled potato, Tatanka, and freaking, of all people, Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah. So, I don't understand Shaq, but apparently when everyone just climbed out the ring, let Shaq and Big Show give each other a big stare down, they both grabbed each other by the throat, looked like they were about ready to do a choke slam. Kane walks over, and then they both double choke slam Kane, and then everyone eventually double teams them two to toss them out. Now, the big things that were noted highlights on this were, Social Outcasts were actually very much so dominant in this. Like, they were clearing house for a good bit, But, be that as it may, the match wound up eventually coming to an end when, they noticed Kane, Baron Corbin were really, and trying to remember who else. I don't really. There was a lot of people, and going on about 6 hours of sleep myself over the past 3 days. So that's why I don't see them all that there. But they proceeded to clear house, and as Kane's getting rid of Slater, who Corbin just goes over, tosses Kane over, and then wins. So Corbin won the Battle Royal. So yeah, NXT is now solidifying itself up onto the main roster, point blank. So now it's time for the main event. Triple H versus Roman Reigns, with Triple H's coveted WWE World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Hunter, he came out with his entrance with Stephanie. Oh my God almighty, Stephanie McMahon. Good Lord, she had that Sigourney Weaver from Ghostbusters look going with her hair like that, doing the whole, and then she was wearing the tight, and then between the hair looking like that and then wearing the skin tight leather looking like something out of Mad Max, I was expecting her to say, go and say, are you the gatekeeper? Are you the keymaster? And 2 men enter, none shall leave, or something like that. But oh my God. Now, the only issue I could really say I had with Hunter's entrance, and I don't really try and knock Hunter a lot because, like I said, in my mind, he is the greatest from my generation. That my generation got the privilege to grow up watching. But, the guys that were all around him, walking down to the ring, they all had on skull masks. They all pretty much looked like the Disciples of Death from Lucha Underground. Which, I don't know, it just felt like cheap. It just felt kind of cheap to me. But, that being said, other than that, can't really argue on that, but Roman, he came out through the entryway instead of the crowd. they really need to change his, his music or something now, because that music doesn't give the same feel as it does going down the entryway as it does coming through the fans. That being said, Trips, he just started off the mind games real early, got into a hammerlock, started slapping the back of the head like, hey, come on, that's all you got, that's all you got, that's all you got. Doing that, messing with him, big thing I gotta say though, the match, it was kind of, the match, it was missing the wow factor. I mean, it wasn't that it was hard for me to watch, because a lot of people were complaining about saying it was hard for them to watch, but at the same time, a lot of people were also watching from the kickoff show, so this is going into 7 hours here, but it was just, it was, the match itself was missing that wow factor, which is saying something, because Roman, he was coming off in that ring with everything on the line, like, I'm putting everything. I don't care if this move, if doing this one thing is going to cost me my career or not. If this one move or this one jump costs me my career, I'm doing it. He came off with that kind of an attitude and that kind of a style. Not only that, they were fully acknowledging on how the crowd did not like Roman one bit. But match wound up coming to an end. Trips, as the match went on, Steph got in there to go and try and do mind games with Roman, and Roman went to go do a running charge to a spear on a Hunter. Hunter got out the way, and Steph wound up taking that bullet because she wound up getting speared instead. And Hunter went to go get the sledgehammer to go and bash him in. Missed a few swings, and then Roman hit the spear and then got the 1, 2, 3. So he won. On Raw, he said he's willing to take on anyone. Then out came Jericho, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And then they wound up saying that they were going to do a fatal 4-way match. So, now, unfortunately, due to an unforeseen attack by Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn was unable to compete. So, instead, we got the dashing return of Cesaro. Yes! And man, that cat did not miss a beat one bit, with all that time off. He didn't miss a beat. And oh my God, it was so great to see him again. Hands down, one of my favorites out there right now. Cannot think of anything so highly of him. The cat is honestly the most underutilized talent out there on the roster. But man, the match, they wound up doing this match. AJ Styles got the win in this fatal 4-way #1 contender match, doing a Styles Clash on Jericho. So he got the 1, 2, 3. So we're going to wind up seeing AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns for the title. Again, my money is on at Extreme Rules. Now, that said, folks, that is it for this week's show. Thank you for taking the time to listen to a man rant and ramble on the camera. So please do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, go back, watch the other videos. Also, feel free to leave any questions, complaints, concerns, comments, grunts, and groans right on down below. I take criticism of all kinds, especially the negative. I appreciate the negative comments and criticism so much. Now, also, I am out there on the Twitter at Tim Vicious and my backup account, Tim_Vicious. As well as on that Facebook gimmick, my name on there is Tim Ash. And, folks, do not forget to follow all of these cool-ass cats right here on Twitter. Vicky Earls, I am Danny Sunday, Axel Mulligan, Sunday Segway, as I said I was on the Sunday Segway podcast this week. Simply Sabrina, WWE Grandpa, Aaron_Deborah, my executive producer, Oliver Ben. Make sure y'all check out Ollie Ben's music. It is out there on iTunes, Spotify, Xbox. Details on that are in the description box. as well as my client, Bronx Bitch Forever. And, folks, like I always tell y'all, you love me, great. You hate me, fuck yous.